am joined by a panel here. We're all going to be watching and listening for the mayor's message later on. Joining me is Danielle Moody Mills, host of Woke AF on Sirius XM, Rick Tyler, co-founder of Foundry Strategies and MSNBC political analyst, and Nick Poor, Republican strategist, Chandelle Summer, conservative radio talk show host, and Peter Emerson, the Democratic strategist, and somebody who knows as well, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. So let me start with you really quickly. As we look at these pictures and knowing that I may interrupt you at any moment, you know the mayor, you knew him from way back when, his Harvard days. Did you see way back then, and way back being 2004, I believe, that this would be his trajectory?
No, but what I saw was a young man in a sea of excellence and valedictorians on every side of the street. Someone who wasn't just serious intellectually, but also committed to compassion and empathy, and had an insatiable curiosity, and also a real rigor about the facts and about the truth. We wrote an op-ed piece for the New York Times together. So I saw his research, I saw the editing process we went through, and I saw someone who was very confident and calm, but very concerned about his fellow students at the time, and also very concerned about his party, and clearly very concerned about America.
Yeah, and only 37 years old. Will that be a factor, you think, in this whole thing?
No, I don't. I actually think that it's going to play in his favor. The people that are at the top of the ticket, we have Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, who is yet to announce, will be in their 80s if they make it to a second term.
Yeah, what do you think that debate stage will look like? Would you have Bernie, possibly, Biden, possibly,
right,
Pete Buttigieg, possibly in the same night there on the MSNBC debate?
I think it's going to be exciting. I think you're going to see a lot of fresh energy, a lot of fresh blood. That's what Pete Buttigieg is bringing to the conversation, not to mention that he's openly gay, and that is amazing and historic, especially for those of us who are in the LGBTQ community.
Chandelle, how do conservatives and Republicans run against him?
It's not going to be hard. I mean, he will be the first Maltese-American Episcopalian gay millennial war veteran ever to have reached for the presidency of the United States. He is so far from the norm when it comes to political candidates. I think that voters will flock in droves to Donald Trump as a candidate just because they'll find this so unusual and frightening.
Wait, so you think it's too weird that they'll just say, no, I'm gonna, Rick is wincing.
I think they'll find it too weird.
Yeah, it sounds quite attractive.
Right, it sounds like a lot of really interesting things that make up a part of the American fabric. A war veteran, somebody who is Christian, somebody who lives in Middle America, can speak to Middle America, who is young, who's a millennial. I don't see how that's terrifying.
Yeah,
that's
Chandelle, how is that terrifying?
I don't think it's personally terrifying. I think that the American public will find it so aberrant and so different from the usual candidates that they won't be able to wrap their heads around it. First of all, his age is a huge problem. I mean, he's 37 years old. I can remember when I was 37 years old, and my thought process, the way I analyzed things, was completely different than it is now. You need experience in life in order to be a good leader and to understand all the different dynamics of the economy, the world, the global situation, national security. I just don't think voters will trust someone that young. And I don't think the fact that he's gay is a big problem, personally. I feel like we've crossed that bridge in this country.
If I could intervene, you just used the word aberrant. Aberrant is a word that's often used against the gay community, number one. Number two, he's a veteran. He knows more about the geography of the world in the Mideast than the current president does. And third, he's done something that no Democrat's done recently. He's claimed back religion for the Democratic Party. It was a third rail and people stayed away from it.
It's taken it off.
And he's now put it back on the table and saying, I can be just a child of God as anyone else can.
Noel Nickpour is also with us. And Noel, we were talking about Mayor Buttigieg just last week, and you were saying he's an attractive candidate, and it might be tough to run against.
You know what? I love this guy. I love this guy. And this guy has got an ability to connect. And it's all about connecting to that voter. I mean, I've heard from the right, I've heard from the left, some pros and some cons. But this guy has got a lot of things that Trump may be lacking. And when you're faced with a decision of some of the things that he's got going for him, like his military record. His age may be younger, but he's got something to offer. I would never underestimate this guy.
So I want to get back to Chandelle on all of this. And by the way, this is the mayor of Austin. I don't know if he's declaring his candidacy, but he's been speaking there for quite a bit. And he's expected to introduce Mayor Buttigieg. Chandelle, I mean, is there something, are you hearing this from many of your folks in the conservative wing, that all of these might be a factor for Mayor Buttigieg and even possibly him being a gay candidate?
I don't think that the conservative community has really focused on any of the candidates in particular. I think they're willing to just let the Democrats eat their own. And there's so many of them, and they're going to eventually start trading insults, barbs, anything they can do to get on top.
You mean sort of like the Republicans did 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Exactly, and look who came out on top. The guy who was the fiercest, the most verbal, the most insulting is the one who captured the attention. So I think the Democrats will probably follow that same lead. I don't think it's going to be a love fest for the Democratic candidates. I think Buttigieg is a very interesting individual. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with him. I just don't see him playing well on a national stage.
First, let's attack. We were talking about
Rick Tyler here.
We were talking about this earlier. Is the reason there's a delay here is because Tiger won his 5th Masters, the first time in 11 years, his 15th title championship, and that is all you need to know right now. This is now breaking news, but they know that they're competing for this coverage, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's just dispense.
Yeah, so we were discussing it. This is from a strategy standpoint. This speech was supposed to have started about 40 minutes ago.
Which tells me
some smart strategists who were there with them. They knew that Tiger.
But secondly, let me address the age thing, because I tend to default toward people who are older, but that only speaks to experience, right? And Buttigieg has experience, but it also speaks to wisdom. We want someone who is wise, who knows how to handle foreign policy, the economy. I mean, if you compare that to Donald Trump, just look at his immigration. One day he's saying, I'm keeping the children together. The next day he's saying, I'm going to tear the children apart. Then he's saying, I'm against sanctuary cities. Then he's saying, let's move everybody to sanctuary cities. I mean, there's no coherence and there's no wisdom.
Yes, but when you talk about wisdom, this person, Pete Buttigieg, has not really ever done anything. He's the mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Oh my
He
God.
ran for treasurer.
You just traded a veteran.
You guys, we'll get back to this argument after this. The mayor there of Austin has just introduced Mayor Buttigieg. And there you see the mayor walking on stage. We're going to listen to him. There's quite a raucous cheer there for Mayor Buttigieg. Let's listen in.